Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home.
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief Podcast brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. This is Amy, fresh off the Disney magic, with Kathleen and Scott, who are here on the podcast as well, and Phil.
Hey, guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome aboard, guys.
Yeah, so Kathleen and Scott and I, we were just together for a little less than a week. We were on the Disney Magic. It sailed out of Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, and it was Kathleen and Scott's first Disney cruise. Not their first cruise in general, but their first Disney cruise. And for those who are not familiar, the Disney Magic is the first ship in the fleet of the Disney Cruise Line fleet. It sailed in 1998, and I sailed on it in 2002 and 2006. So this was my first time back on that ship. I've done both the Wish and the Dream more recently, but this was my first time back on the Magic since the early 2000s. So we had a really good time.
Yeah, we did. Really good time.
So good, we're ready to book another one, Amy.
I know. I was texting with Kathleen up until like almost 10 o'clock last night as she was scrolling through the various itineraries to decide where your cruising adventures would take you next.
We talk about add-on-itis for DVC, and I think, is there such a thing as like cruise-on-itis?
There definitely is, and I am afflicted as well. So, I mean, I currently have, I think, 4 cruises booked between now and the end of 2025, and I'm about to book because today is the day that the Disney Destiny itineraries were released on the Disney Cruise Line website, and so I'm going to be booking when I can a cruise on the Disney Destiny for early 2026. And something that's exciting for me was that at the completion of this cruise that we just got off, I became a gold level Castaway Club member. So that's exciting. And now that you guys have finished your first cruise, you're silver members.
We'll be gold in no time.
Couple months.
Goals. Disney goals, right?
Those are goals.
Yeah. But yeah, so today we also got the email from DVC that there's going to be a DVC member sailing on the Destiny. They haven't yet released those points charts, but I actually don't think that on the member cruises you have to use points. I think you can use only cash.
So I was going to ask you about that because I briefly remember reading something at some time that one person had to use points and the other person had.
You could just use cash.
I thought that those were on the collection cruises. I'm
not sure. I just know I remember
kinds.
Something like that.
I can take a look at that because I was reading up on it today, and I was reading conflicting information about the DVC member specific cruises versus like the Disney, like the DVC collection cruises or something. So, but either way, if you do have to use points, you only have to use it for one person, and then you can use cash for the other.
I don't think that we would ever use our points for a cruise, but one, because I think they're a lot. Isn't it a lot?
I was going to
ask.
And
we don't even have that many points, I don't think.
A lot of people talk about how it's such a poor use of points, but I've never actually looked at, Is it comparable to like cabin
Yeah,
prices
I'm not sure.
or worse?
Anywhere between 237 points and 2,607 points based on double occupancy. And one person does need to be booked on points. The rest can be paid on cash. That was all part of the announcement.
So that's like the full, like
Well,
the whole
that's for
thing,
the
or
Disney
per?
Destiny. That's just the Disney Destiny. But for actual cruises, I actually looked to see on this cruise that we were just on if we had booked points. It would have been, I think it was 198, or no, maybe oh, actually no, it was 98, I think, per person, but it's based on double occupancy. So no matter what, it's
So
100, like 198 points it would have been for.
Yeah, this was for the January sailing on the Treasure.
Yeah,
okay.
the Disney Magic sailing that we were on was considered like value season, and we were in an inside stateroom. So, I mean, I think that it definitely is going to depend. I looked at a lot of like the analyses that the various different DVC um rental kind of like the online rental places, the analysis that they all do always are for a veranda stateroom, which I don't think is like, if you're trying, if you're going and you want to use as few points as possible, you would book a standard inside stateroom. And I didn't really see any of those analysis. But, I actually have my aunt and my cousin are DVC members, and they're kind of, my cousin's kids they're both, one is out of college, one is going to be graduating from college this year. So they're not really interested in going to the parks anymore. So they use their points for cruises. And I had spoken to her about, the possibility of renting them out and using that cash. And she just said, you know what? I don't, she bought her contract so long ago. She just likes the ease of being able to call DVC, book it, and not have to worry about it. And she's, I think, platinum now. And they do a lot of the European sailings, and those, oddly, I think, don't tend to be as high. Like the most expensive cruises seem to be the ones that are, sailing out of Port Canaveral on like the more recent ships. I just think because those are more attainable for people than, having to fly to Europe and then sail. But she said, she doesn't want to have to deal with then the getting a 1099 for the rental income that you have to claim on your taxes. She's like, I would rather just call DVC, have it done in 15 minutes, not need to worry about managing the rental process. And for some people, like that's, and honestly, I think for people who don't need to worry about, who aren't like needing to really like pay attention as much to their finances, it's easier to just say, let me just book it through DVC and be done
Hmm.
with it. But yeah, I mean, I actually have, my second cruise that I went on back in 2006, we actually did use points to book Allie, because it was cheaper for us to use points for the third person than it was for us to, like, it just made much more sense than to pay cash for that. But, we're talking about 2006. I mean, things are very different. And also there was not as much opportunity to be renting your points out at that point. So, um, so I did it once, but I wouldn't do it again, because I also like to use my points at Disney World. So I'm not looking to get rid of them and, get rid of them in all like one fell swoop. I was curious to see what the points would be for the Destiny for the member cruise. But and honestly, I don't know that I'm not really that interested in going on a member cruise. I want to just go on a cruise that's like the sailing of my choice on the ship of my choice, the itinerary of my choice. And I'm not going to be, I get that there's like a lot of perks. They give you a lot of swag. They have special speakers and stuff, but I don't know. That's not really that appealing to me. What's appealing to me, as I always talk about, is just going on the ship and like relaxing, like finding a place to sit on deck, stare out into the void, and, just have a real vacation. So I'm just curious, like, you guys clearly loved the cruise so much and are looking to already you bought a placeholder on the cruise. And for anybody listening who doesn't know what that is, while you're on board the ship, if you purchase a placeholder, which is essentially you're essentially putting down a $250 deposit on a future cruise, but it doesn't have to be applied to a specific cruise. It's kind of like a generic placeholder that then you can apply to a future reservation that you make within the next 2 years. And if you don't apply the placeholder to a specific reservation, like a confirmed booking, at at the end of that 2 years, you get refunded that $250. And the incentive for booking the placeholder is that you get 10% off of your future sailing. And if you book a a cruise that's 7 nights or longer, you also get to pay a reduced deposit. So, I mean, you get the 10% off still, but you don't have to put as much money down upfront because those cruises tend to be longer. And so the deposits are so they're more expensive and the deposits, it's 20% of the total cost. So it can add up. And the nice thing about Disney Cruise Line is you can pay it, you know, every month. You can just go online and put money towards your the cost of your cruise, so you can be kind of paying it off over time as you see fit, as long as you pay for the entire thing by like the final due date of your for your specific sailing. So anyway, with those logistics and explanations behind us, what was it about Disney cruising that you guys loved?
Go ahead.
I think it was, for me, it was just a different way to experience Disney, the way that we talk about the feels with some of the resorts in the parks. This was a brand new experience for us. Although we have been on a cruise before, we sailed with Norwegian. This was totally different as far as, I guess, just overall, like the quality of everything. Just they set the bar really high, as Disney usually does. But it was just nice to experience a first, something different, because it's nice to go back year after year if you're vacationing in Walt Disney World or Disneyland, wherever you like to go. But this was just something I wasn't expecting. The level of service, the quality of food, which I know I really want to talk about something specifically later. I'm just going to say it now. Palo.
I had a feeling I knew what you were talking about.
But just the overall experience of, being on the ship, the way that you're greeted when you first get on the ship, it's a more personal experience
Yeah.
than being in Walt Disney World. And it's fun. Those days at sea are always fun because there's always something to do. I could talk, an hour just about the activities that Disney has.
I love the trivia. They had different trivia, you know, games throughout the day, every day. I love that.
But it was just a first, and I mean, it was so nice. And you don't even think about the perk of it all is, you're on a Disney cruise, you're getting all these perks, everything is nice, but you also get to go and travel and see some different places. So, depending on which cruise you pick and how many ports you go to, if you're somebody that hasn't got to do a lot of traveling, this is a good way to experience Disney, that level of service, but still, like in our case, we were at the Bahamas, but they sail to so many places. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So this was, like I said, it's not that Walt Disney World gets stale to me at times, but it was the idea of doing something brand new and still having that level of service that Disney always offers.
And the feels were there, just like it is at the parks. Like even with the characters, like Donald was still Donald on the ship. Like he was the same Donald that he is in the parks. And I don't have a little kid anymore, but just seeing those little kids on the ship, I mean,
And
it was
like how we talk about, like, sometimes, like, a lot of people, your first resort that you've ever stayed at, like, you always remember that and you feel a certain way about
mhm.
it. I feel that way about the Magic now. So it's my first cruise, my first Disney cruise, the first ship that I've ever been on, and I kind of have like a special place for the Magic now.
Mhm.
But it just, I don't know, it's something new, it's something different. It certainly makes me smile every time I think about it. It's still fresh in my mind because we just got back, but I just can't wait. I don't care if I go to the Bahamas again. I would like to experience a different ship, each ship is a little bit different, as far as like dining and things like that. There's a lot of different activities, but it's almost like experiencing different resorts
Mm-hmm.
and, still getting that, like I said, that level of service and quality that Disney has, but changing it up a little bit. I think they have, what is it, 5 or 6 ships?
They have 5 right now. Mm-hmm.
So I loved everything about it. I'm not going to get into it right now, but like I said, the dining, the activities,
You know what
everything.
I really loved is how people decorate their doors. I just like to walk down the halls and look at everybody's doors. I mean, some of them get like crazy creative, and it's just fun to look at. And we had a couple things left on our door, like, oh, your door was liked, or like I would definitely do that. I would definitely make those like magnetic little thumbs up and go put them on random doors. I just think that's so fun.
We watched a video too of somebody would make like treat bags, and they would just randomly pick like a couple of stateroom numbers, and they would go and just, they had put like the little cruise ducks in there, some magnets, a couple little things, and they would just hang them off of the doors. And you saw that like
It's
everywhere.
pixie dust.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Like that's a little bit different than what you would see like at a Walt Disney World resort, but it's just fun. Like even if you're walking down the hallway, you could spend 20, 30 minutes just
Mm-hmm.
walking down the hallways looking at everybody's doors.
To your point about the service, I think the thing that amazes me every time I'm on a Disney cruise ship is, we're all used to and kind of spoiled by the level of service that we have when we're at Walt Disney World. And I think that the service on the cruise ship is even elevated beyond that. I mean, and I think to your point, Scott, it is because it's a little bit more personalized. I mean, the moment you meet your stateroom host, that that person knows your name.
Mm-hmm.
You might see them for 5 seconds, but then they pass you in the hallway and they greet you by your first name. And or they'd see me and say, "Oh, good afternoon, Miss Amy. Is there anything you need?" Um, and I also the same thing with the dining room staff. I mean, one of our dining room staff during the day, they work other jobs throughout the day, and one of them was working on the pool deck where I was sitting and staring out into the void, into the into the blue waters of the Bahamas. And he saw me and he greeted me by name and had conversation and started making recommendations to me of things that I could do on the island. And so it really is, I mean, it's like an elevated experience where once you meet somebody, they remember your name, they greet you by your name every time you see them. And there was never a time where I was walking around with like a dirty plate on deck or like something, a dirty towel. Somebody would always come and take it from me immediately. I had something, I asked somebody where a crew member where the garbage was, and he said, "Oh, let me take it for you." And so it's just an uh, an elevated experience even beyond what you experience at Walt Disney World or at Disneyland, which is just amazing. Um, and I think that what's really nice about it too is like, these people the majority of the people who work in kind of like the service parts of the cruise, they're all from different countries and they live on these ships and they are just so warm. And it's like they want to make connections with you because you kind of become their family for the short time that you're on the cruise, and they treat you that way. So I think that there is that element of Disney cruising that is just so special. But then the other part of that is, again, to your point, um, the way that the other guests interact with one another. Like this was my first time that I had done a fish extender, where and a fish extender is basically a something you sign up before the cruise. Every specific sailing has its own Facebook group that somebody on the ship will start, another guest, and it's basically a gift swap sign up, and you get assigned other staterooms, and you can leave each other gifts throughout the day. And they have these canvas bins that you can hang off of this hook that's on, where the plaque that your room number is on has like a little fish shaped kind of hook that you can hang these canvas bins on, and it's so nice to come back to your stateroom and see that people have pixie dusted you. I mean, we every single day that we came back, we
Hmm.
had candy or stickers or bracelets or, just little things that people would drop throughout the day, and it does add this element of kind of connection that you don't feel on other vacations, which is really nice. And also, I think, being a DVC member on a Disney cruise is fun because they have a giveaway every day for DVC members. You go to the DVC desk, they give you DVC swag, um, and they have a DVC welcome reception that we went to where you get free drinks and they do trivia. And Goofy came out. We got to take our pictures with Goofy at the end of that event without having to wait in a line that was really long. So it is fun to be, and that's if you pay cash. It doesn't matter. As long as you are a DVC member, you get to attend these, get the free swag and attend the welcome reception, and it's fun. And those cast members remember you too. So I actually got a phone call about probably 7 to 10 days before I got on the ship from one of the DVC guides that was going to be on the ship, and I met him on, the first day, and we chatted, and I joked because, I mean, I'm sure he made a million calls that day, but I joked, just ask him if he remembered talking to me, and like, just like any like any Disney cast member, totally personable, totally nice. And so that's like another way that they make you feel special, is like, as and as the DVC member, you get to your room and they put a welcome magnet on your door,
Yeah, I was
which
just
I know,
gonna say
Kathleen,
that.
you were like delighted by that.
I was. So I'm like, oh my god. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, just from the moment that you step on the ship, I mean, I was just amazed, at the level of service. And then, they welcome you when you get on the ship. And then it's just, head to the buffet or just explore the ship. Or, we went to the room and saw the magnet on the room every day. The stateroom hosts are like above and beyond.
He
Not
was
to,
so nice.
not to compare it to Walt Disney World, but I mean, every single day
Hmm.
they come in your room and they will tidy up your room. You get the special little towel
Hmm.
animal on your bed. We had charging cords that we had put out everywhere, and our stateroom host actually tied them all. They were in like a perfect little, everything was just so tidy and neat. They put the little mints on your bed before you're, when you come back at night. But yeah, it was, and like Amy said, like, we'd see the guy out in the hallway, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Scott, how are you?" Like, I don't know how you remember my name, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, our room, I think it was just perfect every time we came back in
Yeah.
there. Everything was tidied, everything was clean, everything was just.
And they're the only cruise line that does the rotational dining. So each night, depending on which ship you're on, there's 3 different restaurants that you can go, and you keep that same server. And he has an assistant server. So we had Gideon and
Bazador.
was it Bazador? And Bazador was the one that would get our drinks for us. And
Hmm.
then by, the second night, he knew. He's like, "Oh, would you like another old fashioned, or would you like a Coke Zero or something like that?" It was so nice that it was that personalized that they just already knew what you liked.
Well, I mean, I just love how he treated Emma. Gideon knew that she wanted to get back up to Vibe, so he got her food out first so she could eat and leave and not worry about waiting for everything else. Like, he did that every single time. And he brought those special rolls out for her every single time before anything else. It's like they just, I mean, it's like it almost makes me wonder if they have like notes and they study this every night or something.
I know, it is amazing. And because Emma does have she has a severe peanut allergy, to know that that is something that, he takes seriously. Every night he would bring her own basket of rolls. And yeah, and to your point, would like bring her meal right away. He would take care of her
Hmm.
so that she could go back and meet her friends at Vibe, because Vibe is the teen club. And, as Scott said, there is rotational dining and there's 2 seatings each night. And we had the later seating, which starts at 8:15. And Emma most of the friends that she made at the teen club had the earlier seating. So they were always making plans and she always felt like she was missing out. So she just wanted to eat and get out of there. And so he accommodated that. She said that on the first night, and then every other night he took her order immediately and would bring her food out. And also just knowing like that he was mindful of the fact that she has a peanut allergy was just really, really nice.
I also
And also
like
just to Oh, go ahead.
at the end, after we ate, like after everyone was eating, we had dessert or whatnot. So Bazadar, the other server, came over, and I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he would like write on the table with crayons, and like it was kind of like
It was like a riddle.
And it really bogged your mind. Like it really made you think.
It was just, yeah, that little touches like
Those
that
are like cute things,
that's what made it special.
Yeah.
I like
And
that stuff.
just to speak real quick about the teen club, like I can't talk about the kids clubs because I don't have kids that are of the age that would go to the Oceaneers Club or Oceaneers Lab. But Emma has now this was her third Disney cruise, and she absolutely loves going to the teen club, which I wasn't sure on the first one how that would go because teens can be very like picky. I didn't know if it was going to be something that she felt like wasn't cool, but every single cruise ship she goes on, she feels the same way about the counselors at Vibe that we are, the way that we're talking about our stateroom hosts and the servers. She feels that way about them. She always ends up following her counselors on Instagram and staying in touch with them. She's made friends on the cruises that she has stayed in touch with, that she's actually hung out. The ones that live close enough, she has hung out here at home after being on the cruise. So it's just a really great experience. And I had met somebody, a woman who was in my fish extender group, who was there with her son, who I think had just turned 9. And she told me that on the last day, he was just in tears walking off of that ship because it was such like a magical experience. He loved the kids club. He loved everything about the cruise. So it really, I again don't have personal experience, but anecdotally can share that the kids clubs are also things that are just are so well done and really gives parents a chance to like actually have a vacation and take advantage of some of the adult things like Palo. And so, I mean, Scott, do you want to talk about Palo?
I would love to talk about Paulo. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. We were lucky enough, we got a brunch with the rest of our group, and I didn't know anything about it. It is a specialty dining, and you have to pay a little extra. It's not included with the price of the cruise. So, I mean, I was a little bit iffy about it having all of the other food options available. But once we sat down and I looked at the menu and I realized the level of service that we were getting, this was kind of signature dining, but a little bit beyond. And being a brunch at Palo, it is different from dinner because at brunch you can order basically all you want, all you can eat. You can get multiple appetizers, multiple entrees if you choose to try them, multiple desserts. I believe you get an alcoholic beverage for free at the beginning of your meal. But that food was hands down. We've been to multiple restaurants at Walt Disney World property, and I would say that Palo ranks number one
I agree.
above anything. And you all know how much I love my crown jewel and Narcoossee's and Citricos, and even we talk about
Rosa.
Rosa Mexicano. This Italian restaurant experience, brunch, whatever you want to call it, was easily hands down one of the most memorable meals. And it was It's $50 per person.
55 or 50. Yeah.
But like I said,
Yeah, it's a $50
Mhm.
upcharge on top of the cost of your cruise, and it's optional, so you don't have to do it, and it is by reservation only.
I'm telling Jordan you said that.
Yeah, you go right ahead. I think he would understand. He would want to go. He would want to go on a cruise to experience it. But our service was top notch, phenomenal. The food, the appetizers. I mean, it was just. I don't know that there was a lasagna.
We could have been rolled out of there
We
by the time
almost
we
had
got
to be
done.
rolled out of there because I had to think about trying to stand up. I was that full.
So did you mention that it's all you can
Yes.
order? Like, okay.
Oh yeah,
I didn't-
all you can eat. Like I said, you can order as many appetizers, as many entrees. We ordered multiple flatbreads. I tried a calzone. There was a lasagna bolognese, a chicken parmesan, a truffle ravioli,
mushroom ravioli.
I could go on and on. I mean, I haven't even talked
The
about the
pizza?
desserts. Yeah, the flatbreads.
No, the other
There
pizza
was
that
a
you liked.
gorgonzola
Yeah.
and grape
Oh yeah.
flatbread, which Curtis and Jacqueline from the group were kind enough to share with me. I thought it sounded kind of gross at first because who orders grapes? You know, when you call Domino's, you can't exactly get grapes on your pizza. But
It's like getting
go-
pineapple on your pizza,
yeah,
except
well,
except delicious.
I've always not really been a fan of pineapple, but this was. I mean, it was. I can't even explain it. The saltiness and the sweetness from the grapes and the creaminess from the cheese. That flatbread is what made me kind of like raise my eyebrows a little bit, like, wow, this meal is going to be something special. And that's an appetizer. That wasn't that like a, it's kind of like a
It was pretty big.
pre entree. I mean, I guess that would count as an entree. But then I tried the lasagna bolognese. Sorry, Trattoria, but I feel like that lasagna bolognese just kind of trumped your lasagna. And then the chicken parm. It was just a very simple, classic chicken parmesan. But what a great experience. And they have a dinner too. I haven't tried dinner yet. Amy, have you done the dinner at Apollo?
I have done the dinner Apollo, but it's been a long time, so I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. Kathleen and I are booked on. We're doing a girls trip with three other women from the DVC Clubhouse group, and I definitely think we should book a Apollo dinner for that because I'm sure it's phenomenal as well. And I mean, and also the service there, that Vince, our server, he went
Yeah.
so far above and beyond as well. I mean, we were asking for things that were on the dinner menu that they don't serve at brunch, and he went out of
He
his
made
way
it.
to see if he could get it. And even though he wasn't supposed to, he he did it. And um yeah, like I just it really is such a memorable experience because and then you're also looking out at the ocean. Like we were out, that was on our sea day. So you're sailing, you have this beautiful view, amazing food, tremendous service, and there were five of us together. Like we had good company. It was just it was a highlight of the trip for me.
It was a tad warm
Oh,
up there,
that is true. The air
but
conditioning could have been a little bit cooler.
but it was well worth it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, I don't know. We
it
talk
was.
about like DVC, like when you go and you get your room, like this is it's kind of stupid, but I think about things like this. Like, sometimes you get a room and the view kind of stinks. Like you look out your balcony and it's like, like, it could have been a lot better. But you're on a cruise and you just go up to the deck. Or, some people get a veranda and you're never going to get a better view than that. I mean, it's just amazing. And like what Amy was saying, like when you're sitting in a restaurant and all you do is you happen to look out and it's just this beautiful big blue ocean out there that you're looking at, you just can't get any better than that. But I mean, I was writing down some things as Amy was talking, but it almost reminded me of like the old school things that we all loved about Disney vacations that have kind of gone away over the years. We actually stayed at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale and they have the Disney transportation there. So it almost reminded me of like the old Magical Express. You know how you get on the bus and they take you to your resort. But having everything prepaid ahead of time kind of reminded me of like when we would get the dining plan. Like everything was all taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything. The old fast passes, like once you get on the ship, they have the itinerary every day where you can actually not book, but you can, like or heart what you want to do. So you can plan out your day. Everything is taken care of from transportation, food, activities. And it really did remind me of like kind of like an old school way to vacation at Disney World.
Yeah, and something that I did that I know Kathleen is going to do in the future is you can preload a Disney gift card to your onboard account so that is you like already knew how much I was willing to spend on that cruise, preloaded it, and would take a look in the app at my folio every day to see where I was, to see you know where I was budget wise, so that and once I wasn't going to go beyond that. So once I saw that I was getting close, I just, ordered one glass of wine at the meal instead of two, or, you know, but it was, but that's also a way too that you just keep track of your budget in a way that is, just it makes the trip feel a little bit more manageable and a little bit less like you're just kind of it's one less thing to think about to like then get that folio at the end and be like, "Oh my gosh, I spent how much?" Because you've already paid that money ahead of time and you're prepared to spend it. And then once that's gone, it's gone. Um, and you can prepay your gratuities so that those are taken care of as well, so that you don't need to worry about adding those at the end of your trip.
Yes, those are two things that we're gonna do next time.
Yeah, I think that's part of what makes it so nice. You get on the ship, they take you to the ship, and everything is taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything at all. You're going to get top-notch service. You've prepaid for everything, um, and I think a lot of people might knock it a little bit because they think there's a lot of kids on the ship, but I didn't really notice it that much, and I think they just do a really great job of having like age specific activities. There's an area where it's just adults only. So, I mean, if you do find yourself around a lot of kids and you want to get away from it, there's plenty of places and plenty of times where you can just go. There's lounges. I know we did Soul Cats. There was Keys
Mm-hmm.
and Fathoms. There was a couple other lounges on there. But, I mean, everything was just top notch. I mean, to be able to get away like that at night, we did karaoke one
Bingo.
night. Bingo. Oh, how could I forget bingo?
Oh, Scott, why don't you tell everybody what happened at bingo?
Somebody got really lucky and won the grand prize. They did the coverall at bingo, and I don't know, by the grace of God, I ended up winning the grand prize, and that was
And
a nice
basically
way.
paid for your entire cruise.
Yes, it was a pretty good jackpot. So we paid for the cruise by I was kind of debating whether to even go that night to bingo, and then at the last minute, because I think wasn't that the day that we did Palo?
Yes.
And I was so full that I didn't even want to get up to go to bingo. But
It
luckily
was
we
the luck
did.
of the bolognese.
Yes, that was such a good day.
I
But
won too.
you did. You won $100. But hey, you won.
I
But
won.
it's just stuff like that. It's so fun. It's like Disney trivia. They had like
Pirate night. Oh my gosh, pirate night was so fun. And Jacqueline and I went up on that stage, which was like crazy. They do a midship pirate show on the pool deck where Mickey is dressed like a pirate and he zip lines across, from one funnel to the other. And they were looking for adults to come on and be a part of the stage show. So Jacqueline and I went up there. I didn't even know we were up on the Jumbotron. I wasn't with Emma at this time. She was with her friends from Vibe. And she was watching the show, didn't realize it was me, and all of a sudden she looks up at the Jumbotron and was like, "Is that my mom?" And then she was like, "Oh my gosh, my mom is on this stage." So, that was a highlight for me too, being up on stage.
When you're at Disney, your days are so long and the heat, it makes you tired. And, you go to bed kind of early when you're in the parks all day. I mean, it's the same on the ships. Like you're tired. Like they have so many activities and so much to do. You don't want to sleep in. You want to get up early and like do everything. And by the time after dinner, it's like, I'm tired. But you don't want to go to bed because you want to take advantage of all the nighttime activities they have.
because they do like the happy hour at the
Yeah.
different lounges at night, and that's when
Trivia.
the trivia has come out and the karaoke's, and you just you get your second wind, and
I still have to post that one video of you at trivia.
that's okay. I don't think anybody wants to see that, but
I think people want
At
to see that.
90s music trivia in his pirate
Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
with ACDC.
With ACDC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a good time.
Yeah. And I mean, and the onboard entertainment is just so amazing. From we watched the Tangled show, which was really enjoyable. But even the musicians that they have throughout the ship, there's the piano player Jarrell in keys was amazing.
Oh, amazing.
And then you had that duo that night that we were standing outside of Lumiere's and singing with them. They had another pianist in the Soul Cat Lounge that was awesome. They had that violin player. So, I mean, it's just everywhere you go, there's something to watch, something to do. Characters, even if it's not a character, they have picture backdrops that you can go and take pictures in front of. And then they also have like quiet spots, like the Cove Cafe. It's such a
Oh,
nice spot to just go, and it's quiet. It's adults only. You can grab a cup of coffee. They have some, you can order cocktails there too. And you just go inside and kind of escape from either from the heat or just the craziness of the pool deck. And you can really relax. I mean, I went on deck 4 and sat on those wooden chairs with the cushions, just, again, staring out into the void for like an hour. And it's just so relaxing. So, I mean, I feel like Disney cruises really give you an opportunity to like have fun, to relax, to kind of tap into the feels, like that Disney nostalgia that we all love so much. Um, all, while bringing you from port to port. Now, I did not get off the ship at Nassau. You guys did for a brief while. But we had the privilege of visiting Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, which is Disney's newest like private island destination. It's not like Castaway Key, which is like actually an island. It's a section of an island. It's the tip of Eleuthera, which is one of the islands in the Bahamas. Um, that was beautiful. I mean, I
That was
enjoyed
nice.
my time there. It was that beach was just the sand was like powdery soft. The water was so blue. And it's very different from Castaway Key. A lot of people were comparing it and saying that Castaway is better. I just think it's a completely different experience. I think that Lookout Key feels like it almost feels like a little bit more adult and a little bit more I don't know, like one of the cast members said he thinks that it's so elegant, and I just thought that was a good word. It does feel kind of like an elegant beach experience, whereas Castaway Key is kind of like a fun beach experience. Um, but I loved that too. I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I liked everything about that. It was I didn't know what to expect with that, but you got to like you didn't have to stay in like a specific part. You could go explore because we actually took a walk
hmm
down to like there was like a bunch of rocks that were like sticking out into the ocean, and we walked all the way down there. The sand crabs everywhere. There was an adults only section for
we went
the
over there for a little
yeah.
bit.
So it's in Amy where you were camped out there was like literally nobody over
Nobody
there at
there.
all.
Yeah, I felt like I had my own private beach.
Yeah, and then there's different
It was
like
gorgeous.
little bars like outdoor pool bars out
hmm
there. The food was good. Like they had a lot of variety for the food that they offered the lunch that day, and then character meet and greets too. We did a bunch of character meet and greets. We got to see
Donald
Donald
and
and
Daisy.
Daisy
hmm
out there. But yeah, it's just again, it's something brand new. It's that level of service and quality that you expect from Disney. Um, but just to be able to experience something different like that, I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Well, and the ship smells so good, and you will see when you
hmm
sail on future cruises, every ship smells the same. So talk about nostalgia and the feels. You will step onto whatever cruise ship you do next, and you will immediately, as soon as you walk into that atrium and they announce your name, you're going to smell the ship and you're going to just feel like that nostalgia and the feels are just going to kick right in.
I
And
would
you're
love
gonna
to
have
see.
Mickey waving. That was so fun when we walked in and Mickey was up on that upper deck waving down at us, in the atrium, blowing kisses at us.
hmm
It's like like I honestly like every time I set foot onto a Disney cruise when they introduce me, and then you've got whatever characters there waving at you, and then all of the crew members lined up on either side, like clapping and waving.
hmm
It's like an emotional experience. I get choked up every time. I don't know why. It just feels like really emotional.
It's very emotional. I think Scott's poll yesterday on the DVC Facebook group. I think it was because he found out that the Dream has Admiral Donald as the statue, and that's
Yes.
why he wants to go on the Dream.
I was all 100% on board with trying out the Wish And then when I found out that it was Admiral Donald that greets you when you first walk in, I kind of changed my tone a little bit.
Yeah, so you guys are like I said, you bought a placeholder, and so
Mhm.
what does the future of your Disney cruising career look like?
Well, like you said, we have one coming up in May, so that will be on the Fantasy. And I know that I will be booking one for just Lily and myself. That will be next August. So I know those two for sure. And then
It's looking like January into February, we are going,
on the Wish.
this upcoming January, we're going to book on the Wish.
Yes.
So we will be Pearl members before you know.
So I have to get another placeholder probably. I'll probably get another placeholder on May's trip and August trip.
Well, you can get
Yeah.
one on the January trip.
Oh,
when
in
we go.
January, yeah.
Yeah. How many placeholders can you get at one time? Is it 2?
Well, on a specific sailing, you are able to get 2, but they have to be for I believe that they have to be for um the same sailing. Like you can get 2 rooms on a
Oh, I
cruise.
see. I see. Okay.
So you can't use them
Because
separately.
yeah, I mean, I guess technically theoretically the way around that would be you could each buy one
Right.
separately, but you as this individual, because it's kind of like you're almost like you get a reservation number when you buy a placeholder, and so uh, you're basically picking if you want 1 or 2 staterooms on that reservation.
Because 10% is 10%. I mean, if
Mhm.
you know you're going to be doing it, then you might as well take advantage of it. And it
Especially
could
on
be
those longer cruises. I used a
Well,
placeholder for my Treasure because I'm going
that's
spring break week and it is pricey. So that 10% off plus the reduced deposit because it was a 7-night cruise, it was really helpful.
I was
Um,
looking at the treasure for November of 2025, and
oh, that's right.
that was that would be a nice 10% off that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
so as DVC members who have now discovered Disney cruising, what do you feel like this means for your DVC membership?
That's all, Scott.
I don't want to. I don't want to answer for both of us, but I feel like since we have experienced Disney in a new way now, it kind of, I don't know. I guess I don't really, and it's different too because we're local. So
Yes.
it's going to be different for us. We maybe feel like we don't need as many points, but also too, like to look into keeping the contracts and renting out points. If we know that we're not going to use our points, we talked about renting out the points and just using the money for another cruise. I just feel like it's opened up a completely different avenue that's brand new to us, and we kind of want to go explore that for all the reasons that we've just talked about. But I don't think it diminishes DVC in any way. It doesn't, take away from the fact that I still want points all the time. Um, but it's new. It's like I said, it's like each ship is like a new resort. So if you're craving always staying at a new resort, trying something different, this is kind of why I feel the way that I
Like
feel.
you had mentioned that you wish there was like a DVC of cruise line ship, like the DCL ships. Like
Yeah, I don't
this
know how
one
they
could
would
be
do
your
that.
home
Almost
ship.
like where you could pick like a home ship, and then like you could use points, like where it would actually make sense to get points and use cruise specific points and have like a home ship.
Yeah, there was somebody posted that somewhere asking if they thought that Disney Cruise Line and DVC would ever merge to do something like that, but I don't think that they could because these ships are not registered in the United States. They're registered like in the Bahamas or other
Hmm.
places, and every country has a different timeshare law. And I don't think that they would be able to like legally. I think it would be kind of a mess
Yeah.
to. I don't think that they'd be able to do it unless it just and also because once you, s- I mean, those ships are all in international water, so I don't know legally what that would mean for because
Yeah.
like I know I owned a timeshare in Bermuda and the timeshare laws in Bermuda were totally different. And we kind of like had no we the owners of the timeshare kind of got shady at some point, and there was a group of members who were looking to like pursue legal action, but we basically didn't have any legal recourse because we were all US citizens, and this was like a Bermuda thing, and it just it becomes very very dicey and would get very costly.
Not just that, I'm delving into my professional side now. You've got various federal and international maritime laws that would be extremely problematic.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to think about. I guess you've been on a lot of the different ships, Amy. If you could pick one for a home resort,
I
would you
mean,
pick? What
right
would you pick?
now, right now I would pick the Wish. I mean, my order, I've been on the Magic, the Dream, and the Wish. The Wish was my favorite. I know that that's a controversial choice amongst Disney Cruise Line fans. I just love the aesthetic of the ship. I love the different lounges on the ship. The main dining rooms are not my favorite. I will admit that. I don't really need a dinner show. I I do like on the Dream and Fantasy where there are no dinner shows. It's basically, I mean, Animator's Palette is as much dinner show as you get. But I just don't need live entertainment like that throughout like the entirety of my meal. But and then the Magic is my second favorite because I think that I also do have nostalgia on the Magic. I just like the layout of the Magic. I like that it's
I do too.
smaller. It's
It's
it's easy
easy.
to navigate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the despite the fact that the Magic is the smallest ship, I think they have the best adult pool area of all the ships that I've been on. So I I think the Magic would be number 2. There are just some lounges on the Wish that I absolutely love. Um, so I'm really looking forward to getting on the Treasure and the Destiny because they have my favorite is the Rose, and it's the same across those 3 ships. All of the other lounges, they're in the same location on each ship. On each ship, they're just themed differently. And it is kind of fun now that, it's interesting because we have this conversation about IP at the parks and whether or not we think Disney's like overdoing it with IP. But I think that Disney Cruise Line does IP really well. And they make it so that you feel like you're immersed in the storyline instead of just looking at a comic book of the storyline like splashed around you, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like you're a part of the story versus just like looking at images from a story.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to, even though I love Tiana's. I mean, the Bayou Lounge on the Wish. On the Treasure, it's going to be Jungle Cruise themed, which will be pretty awesome, and it'll have all those elements from the Society of the Explorers and Adventurers. Um, and instead of the Hyperspace Lounge, they're going to have the Haunted Mansion Lounge, which looks really cool and has more
Yes.
lore around the Haunted Mansion that I think is going to be a lot of fun to check out. So I think that they're doing a really good job of balancing that like kind of classic cruise ship feel with very tastefully done Disney intellectual property. And I'm excited for it. Like I'm all here for it. And the fact that they announced that by the year 2030s they're going to be 13 ships. I'm thrilled because my kids are getting older. I don't need to be going to Disney World as frequently. I'm happy to do shorter Disney World trips and then go on Disney cruises and visit different. I would love to do some of the European itineraries. I'd love to do one of the sailings from Honolulu to Vancouver. I
Hmm.
think that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of Disney cruising in my future. And as I said, I already have 4 booked. I have Emma and I are going in November on the Fantasy, and then we're going on the Treasure in April. I'm doing the cruise with you guys, and then Emma and I are doing the Wonder next August to an Alaskan cruise, and I am so excited about that one. So, and then I'm probably going to book a Destiny. And I mean, what's kind of nice about it too is that you can book them so far out in advance. So
Right.
while it seems like people are like it might feel like it's crazy that I have all those booked out, but they're spaced out. I'm looking at booking at something in 2026. So it also gives you a way to kind of like budget ahead, like
Right.
what you're going to be spending on your vacations, and it gives you an opportunity to pay a little bit at a time. So
That's what
I
I like
appreciate
about it.
that.
Yeah. Definitely. I love the convenience of that. And then, like I said, everything is paid for ahead of time and you're ready to go.
I mean, I think that's what's going to end up eventually happening in the next couple months. We're going to have a few booked at a time, and it's just so we can have that placeholder. We get that 10% off, and we can just budget for them
It's
later.
going to look like your DVC dashboard.
Yeah. It's a lot to manage, a lot of Disney apps to manage.
Yes.
Have they announced any names past the Destiny for the
Well, there's
ships?
also the Adventure, which is the ship that's going to be their home port's going to be in Singapore, and that will be like an Asian sailing, and that ship looks different than any of the other ships because that's the one that they actually bought an already existing ship.
Oh.
Versus every other Disney cruise ship has been built from scratch. This one was one that they bought from I think a company like went bankrupt in the middle of building the ship and they couldn't complete it. So Disney bought it. And this resembles much more kind of like the mega ships versus like the other Disney cruise ships that are, the Adventure is going to be the biggest. It's going to be one, how on like Royal Caribbean, you can get a stateroom that like overlooks like the inside of the ship, like a veranda that overlooks the inside. The Adventure is going to have that.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's going to be a whole different thing.
Yeah, but as far as the other ones, I don't think there's any names yet.
Well, if they have one down the road, it's called like the Disney Crown Jewel. Just sign me up because I'm.
That's the Disney Wish. I feel like you're going to feel that way about the Wish.
We've watched the videos on the Wish. I haven't even been on it yet, and so far it's my favorite.
Oh, I know. We were gonna do the Maritime, and somebody didn't like the gold Christmas tree.
Don't get me started on it.
Nope, I can't wait though.
So, do you guys have any final thoughts or things you want to share?
I get that DCL is a little more expensive than all the other cruise lines. I understand that. I know what we paid for Norwegian, and it was half the cost. But the level of service that we got on Disney, it's totally worth it.
It's the quality. It's the level
quality
of service. It's like I said. It's more personal. It just feels like Amy said, like you just feel like you're a big part of the family, not just with the crew members there, but with the other people too.
It's like a DVC community.
Yeah, we all share something in common. We joke that DVC is a cult and a group where everybody we all love Disney, but DCL is the same exact thing, and it's a bunch of people coming together with common interests that love Disney, love cruising, and it's just fun to get to know the people.
Well, and I want to shout out quickly Tiffany and James. They were on our cruise, and they are now. Tiffany is a part of the Facebook group. I met them at the adult pool one day, and we got to chatting, and it turned out that they were at a wine and food pairing event that Jacqueline and Curtis had done. And so through the conversations, they told me that Jason, maybe was his name Jason.
Jason.
Yeah, sorry, Jason. That Jason really wanted to become a DVC member, and Tiffany wasn't quite sold. So they came and they met us for drinks at Keys, and we talked about our favorite and our least favorite resorts. And Scott didn't hold back.
Not one bit.
Yeah.
Shocking.
And they subscribed to the podcast. And while they were on board, they ended up becoming DVC members. They bought a Riviera contract, which was not what they were looking to buy, but they said that the onboard incentives for Riviera were so good and so much better than any other resort that they couldn't walk away from it. And I don't know what the incentives were, but
I didn't know that you got extra incentives if you bought points on the ship. I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you have a one-on-one meeting, they will tell you what they definitely have incentives on the ship that they do not offer on land.
Wow.
And I think that might be part of kind of I don't know the rationale behind that, but I've heard that from other people before that they ended up buying Riviera on a cruise because the deal that they got was so good that they couldn't turn it down.
Maybe they gave him a free cruise.
Probably told him by Riviera we're not going back to land.
You'll never see your family again. But anyway, they are the newest members of our group who are also brand new DVC members. So we want to welcome them, and it was fun meeting them and hanging out with them on the cruise, which kind of just like Scott was saying, it kind of lends itself to that family feel. And also when we were at that DVC member like that welcome reception, we
Mhm.
met those people that were sitting next to us. We gave them some DVC Clubhouse bracelets. They were funny. So yeah, so we got to meet some other DVC members as well, and got
I mean,
some
it's
new.
all about the feels. That we always talk about those feels in the parks, and I felt it the whole time we were there on
Yep.
that boat or
Def-
ship.
definitely.
Yeah, I agree. And I haven't done another cruise ship, and maybe someday I will. But I, for me, like I said to you, Kathleen, I don't go on a Disney cruise because I love to cruise. I go on a Disney cruise because of the Disney experience that I receive aboard that ship. And it is an experience that just it is it far surpassed my expectations the first time I went on the cruise back in 2002, and why I now, am continuing to cruise, because it is a really, really amazing and special experience.
It's another level. It really is. I mean,
Hmm.
I was kind of skeptical because I thought the same way that some of the other, we've talked to some people and they say, well, yeah, you can get other cruise lines for half the cost, but it's just another level. It's service, it's quality, it's everything, and we all pay it when we go to Disney World. You could all go to SeaWorld and ride some rides, and they have their own food and wine. But if you go to Disney, it's a whole nother level, and we all pay for it, and there's a reason that we pay for it.
Right.
And it's quality, it's service, and it's those darn feels that keep us coming back.
Well, I know when I first posted that we were going on our first Disney cruise on the Facebook group, I know Greg Schifano from the group had said, "Oh well, welcome to the club. This won't be your last one."
He nailed it.
he nailed it.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that you guys loved it so much, because this was a cruise that I was going to be going on with Emma, and then when you guys said you were going to come, I was excited, and then Jacqueline and Curtis, said they were going to come, and that was fun too. It was fun to have
Hmm.
friends, and it was nice the way that we did it, because there was like not pressure for us all to be together all the time. We kind of all did our own thing, but then when we would come together for trivia or for drinks or for a
Hmm.
meal, like it was just, it was fun. So
Yeah, it was a great time.
I think it was great. And I think that it's also just another testimony to kind of like just how special this group is, that, through DVC we've made friendships and have taken our DVC experience now beyond just going to Disney World, and able to do that. Like we were talking on the ship, we would love to get even an even larger group from DVC Clubhouse to someday do one of the cruises, because it would just be a lot of fun.
Cruising
So
clubbers.
maybe someday.
Yep,
Yep.
cruising clubbers.
Just as a
And
as a final word, I know we're hitting past an hour here, but I just want to say again, as my final word, I love you, Palo.
Chicken parm, you taste so good.
And if you ladies happen to see some creepy, weird looking lady who happens to be named Scottina following you around on your all ladies cruise, pay her no mind.
he's
Scotland.
like, he's like, "Are you gonna go to Palo without me?" I'm like,
Don't be sending me pictures. Oh, I love it there. Absolutely.
So I think that wraps it up.
"Yep, can't wait to go back."
Same.
Carol, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Not really.
Other than your being able to share about maritime law?
Yeah, I am really, I truly am happy that you guys had a great time and you love it so much. But I am 10,000 times as disinterested as I was before we started the episode.
It's not for everybody.
Like Scott, you were mentioning sitting at dinner and looking out over that gorgeous vista and having a veranda. As I said to you guys when you were there, I call that Tuesday.
It's just different. There's something about, we woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and we saw that sunrise, and it's special. And, I think even if it is a Tuesday for you, it's just a nice way to experience Disney in a different way. To be out in the middle of nowhere and just, we talk about going to Disney World and letting all of your problems go, feeling free, feeling relaxed. It's the same way, being out in the middle of the ocean like that, watching that sunrise. Um, you can't duplicate that feeling. And I don't know. It was a really special time for me, and I can't wait to go back.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up, guys. As always, thanks for playing along. If you could go to Apple Podcast, give us a 5-star review, we would very much appreciate it. Amy?
If you don't already follow us on the Facebook group, you can find us there at DVC Clubhouse. And we're also on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
We started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.
Happily ever